Yeah, I love that. I love how you said your learning was experiential. It sounds very similar to, kind of my understanding after getting my nutrition certification. You go out, you tell people what to do, eat different colors of vegetables, eat until you're 80% full. Here is the size of a serving of a whole grain. Make sure your proteins are lean. And like, it's not, I don't know. You just feel like people are ignoring you or they're non-compliant. Like and you realize over time, like they can't do it. Even people in my industry can't do this for very long. That like it's not working. There's too many, groceries that they're buying and food's going bad at the end of the week, and people are craving pizza by Friday. You know what I mean? Like, was that similar to your experience?
Yeah, I learned early on that telling people what to do doesn't work, especially when it comes to eating, right? Or something like or habits. It didn't work well. And I've authored 27 recipe books. I've done full meal plans. I've done the whole thing you're talking about. It just if I can teach them how it works, they can then choose what they want within that, and it's much more sustainable. It doesn't have to look one way or the other. They can then be an active part of it. Learn something today, apply it today, feel it tomorrow, type of thing. But I did notice that when I would give out the recipes or the prescription diet or whatever, it's just like you're saying, people don't want to be told what to do. But if they understand how and why this is working the way it's working, then they work within what they're already doing. Because everyone thinks they want they're so unique and they need all this variety. But when you really look at what people eat, we go back to the same things almost all the time, right? Even at the restaurants, even at home and stuff. So if we can work within that and learn how to stack it, do it, time it, and incorporate some other lifestyle strategies in there, we can get more out of it. The book that I'm working on, the subline is how to get any diet to work again. If it's worked before, it can work again, and that comes down to lifestyle nutrition. That comes down to how you approach it, how you combine it, timing, spacing, right? And learning the hormonal responses to food to stack it in your favor. Because even sometimes we can have a perfect plan, looks good on paper, all the numbers are right, but it's not changing. We're not changing. Why? It could be all those other lifestyle. I call them the hidden insulin magnifiers, hormonal disruptors in our approach that can be changed. And if we do that, then whatever diet we liked or has worked before can work again.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. I wish you could time travel back a decade and tell me that meal plans are stupid. You would have saved me hours and hours and hours of work trying to give people meal plans that not one of them ever followed ever. Let me tell you. Yeah, no, I really like that. And obviously, we've been talking about fasting. You talked about kind of your current view on plants. We obviously share that view around here. We're talking about insulin, but it will be mostly obvious. But can you tell the audience kind of like how in what direction you moved as far as what constitutes a healthy human diet?
Yeah, that's a great lead in there. So going back to the physiology, what makes sense on that cellular level that creates a normal response in the body is what I consider healthy. So anything that doesn't, and in the world of insulin, the hormone that responds to food, anything that creates a hyper unnatural insulin response is a problem. And so then working it backwards, what is a normal response? What promotes a normal response, and then working within that, we can see dramatic changes because insulin's a bully on the playground hormonally. It's the primary hormone disruptor all the time. And so a lot of people have a lot of other issues that they want to work on, thyroid, gut, all this. I'm like, well, let's get insulin first. Give me 6 months, right? Within 4 months, we'll know whether we have to chase anything else at that point. Because people come in with a list of a bunch of things. They want to do all these different things, supplements and approaches and tests. I'm like, okay, well, how about you just give me 4 months? And we'll go back to that list. If there's stuff still there, we now know we can go right after it, right? But trying to chase 10 different things like rabbits down 10 different holes, we're not going to do it. And as it turns out, with these lifestyle changes and handling insulin first, 9 out of 10 of those things take care of themselves anyway. And so that's how I approach it.
I love that. And again, as you're saying, there's lots of different diets that people can do and they can work. There are people who are vegans and vegetarians who say they're feeling great. That's awesome. Like that's fabulous. I know going to like a more carnivorous side for yourself has been pretty beneficial as it has for me as well. And you're living in California. And I just want to make this point. We're talking about insulin and the response to insulin and what's normal and abnormal. You live in a place where lots of vegetation grows. You might get stuff growing year round because it's warm and sunny and all this stuff. And you could go out into a natural landscape and you would have almost no opportunities to have a huge surge in your insulin. Like there's nothing in your natural environment that's going to make that happen. Like maybe a small portion of the year, there might be some plant foods that are available that will, cause that insulin surge, but it's going to be such a greater part of the year where you're not going to even have the opportunity to have massive surges in your insulin.
No, that's true. And there are the other factors, the lifestyle factors we're talking about. We can just list out sleep. I slept very, very poorly last night. I don't know why. I had a bad night, and I woke up. I'm 4 pounds heavier than because I track my weight. I know what I'm supposed to be. There's a little bit of puff on my waist. This is my face. I can see the bag. I'm going, okay, that's a hormonal response that happened from that one night of sleep. My insulin resistance markers have shifted in the wrong direction just from that one night of sleep, even though everything else is on point. Even though I jumped in the sauna, even though I did my exercise, even though I'm fasting right now, to this point, it's that lifestyle element compounds things away. Because if insulin's the bully on the playground, insulin's minion is the stress hormone cortisol, right? And when they get together and they start to, it's like getting together with that bad friend from high school who you just get nothing but trouble, right? As soon as you're together, you're like back in it, and you want to, they rile things up. But that's what cortisol and insulin do together, and it's only a problem when they both get high or one pulls the other one. Then we see problems, and neither one of them are bad. They're both natural hormones. They're both extremely important. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is the most anti-inflammatory chemical on the planet. We want that. When people go and get that fasting glow, it's because of a surge in cholesterol, in cortisol. But that's not a problem because insulin is so dramatically low. Now, if they were both up, now we got chronic stress markers, we got other things, we got a lot of stuff, belly fat, we got the opposite happening. But because we're fasting and that insulin is dropped so low, when that cortisol rises, it can do its thing unhindered and there's no minion action going on. And it's actually extremely anti-inflammatory and beneficial.
Wow, that's super well explained. I really appreciate that. Let's talk about, you just mentioned a person coming in, they've got a list of things they want to work on. Obviously, one of the major focuses is metabolic health. I believe that, if you can control your nutrition and improve metabolic health, I think it's easier to get wins in some of those other things, like you mentioned, like sleep and stress management and all that stuff. That's just been my experience. Everybody's a little bit different, but I think that's where you get the biggest win. How soon after somebody's coming in, are you thinking that this person is ready to do fasting? Is it something you start recommending from the beginning, or is there some preparatory work that needs to go into it before somebody starts?
Yeah, 100%. That's a great question. When people come in, not only do we come in sometimes with a lot of different problems we want to address, which is normal, but we come in with labels. One of the most common labels that I hear people talking about is I'm an emotional eater. I lack willpower. I am addicted to sugar. I have these different things. And what I've noticed is those are all symptoms of a stressed metabolism. And if we start doing little changes and working our way up, and that metabolism gets in line, suddenly those symptoms change. They don't even remember being an emotional eater or a stress eater. And all of a sudden, sugar is not whipping them like it did before, right? And all these different things. But if we went after them first, they'd be white knuckling it and be hard. Just like if you jump into a fast, I see it online all the time. I'm doing a 3 day fast. Who's with me? Let's go. I'm like, well, okay, good for you. But man, I'm going to quit drinking. I'm going to quit smoking. I'm going to quit caffeine and I'm not going to eat for 3 days. Let's do this. I'm like, ooh, don't call me because that's not
God
going to be
bless.
fun. Right? Exactly. Right. And so we get that. So we do these different phases. The first thing I have people do before we talk about what they're eating, it's when frequency. If they're eating multiple snacks and multiple meals a day, I get them to go 3 meals a day, strict. That's it. Don't have to change anything. Don't have to lessen it, take anything out, or add anything in at that moment. Just get used to eating 3 meals a day, 3 meals only. And we do that for a little while, right? As we're doing it, we're getting used to, we're learning about what good fats are to get them in and get the bad seed oil fats out. That's got to go day one. We got to start at least thinking about that, right? But we're just eating 3 meals a day. We're learning about being friendly with salt again, getting salt on our food and these kind of things, drinking some water. But we're just eating 3 meals a day. Then as that starts to regulate, I worked in population health where I worked with companies that had 100,000+ employees and we did studies with them. And some people, depending on where they start from and how challenged they are and weight they have to lose, all they did was shift to 3 meals a day and stop snacking. And they lost weight. They were success in some of them, 50, 60 pounds over the course of 16 weeks. It's a significant, blew my mind because I'm like, that's it. I had a lot more things I wanted to do, but that's all they did. Because what that does is allow that hormonal response to start to balance, start to adapt. So we start with 3 meals a day. Then eventually we move into taking away one of the bookend meals, so breakfast or dinner. Ideally, dinner metabolically is better, but socially it's harder. So people usually start with breakfast, like intermittent fasting, as long as they don't push that window too far back. And we start doing then we do on and off. We do a rotational concept so that it's not every day. Anything we do every day eventually will slow down and back up on us. So we want to rotate it in. Maybe it's 3 times a week. Have that breakfast early, have it later, skip the dinner, start to work on that. Then we work into 1 meal a day, maybe 2 times in a week, depending on what week we're in. Maybe three, and then we move up to three. And then we get to 24-hour fast, which is a dinner to dinner, which is not a full day. It's half of one day, half of another day. 1 night sleep. That's a good place to start because then we move into full day fasting where I eat dinner, I don't have anything the next day, and I don't eat till that third day. That's a full day, 2 nights sleep. It's usually 36, 40 hours at the end of it. But in our mind, it's just one day, right? And then we start to rotate into extended fasting. I've done fasting learning challenges. They're called learning challenges because nobody has to do them like I do, but they've been 30 days long, 40 days long, right? Some of them with supplements, some of them with teas and drinks, some of them just water, right? So we got some good data from both the basics and how it shifts our physiology into the advanced. Not that anyone has to do a 30-day fast, you understand? But we've really got to see what that can do and how it impacts us.